Well, we had a small little problem. I lost the footage somehow, so we're just going to pick up and carry on. Anyway, what the footage was about was the layout of the old crow and the white backer for the stars and bars emblem. And I showed how I laid it out and how I had to reposition it to get it perfect how I wanted it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shoot some yellow on the nose of this airplane. And I've also laid out some tapered checkers. I just used one to test to see how it was going to work on there. But I want to get this yellow. Now remember, this is a color change, so Old Crow here is going to remain white, and the nose is going to become yellow. So we'll just take a piece of tape and we'll lay it across the Old Crow lettering. In that first reel of footage that was lost, I also showed how the white wasn't coming out of the gun correctly, and how I just added some more thinner to make it correct. And we have a problem here with the tape. It doesn't want to lay down, so I'm going to cut a slot there. We're going to push that down so it lays. I don't want any bleed over with this yellow because it's a compound curve. So now white is still in my paint gun, but I have this set up that my airbrush and paint gun run off the same line, so no big deal. I had some yellow already mixed up. Let's see if it's going to be thin enough to operate out of this airbrush, and it is. So we're good there. Okay, now the next thing is I need to get a piece of paper on the nose of this because I had demasked it to some extent. So I don't want to get any yellow on the green. We'll go ahead and set this down. Like I said, I did lose 45 minutes of footage, which I thought was fairly good stuff. Of course, I don't know anymore, but all we can do is carry on. Now the nice thing about the airbrush is it's a pretty concentrated spray, so I'm not going to have to tape off the whole airplane, or, it's pretty concentrated. You want to make sure you get it all, but... So anyway, we have this taped off. I have the yellow already mixed up. It won't take much. Now this piece here, what I'm doing here, is going to have to be painted inside and out, and I'll explain why. So now we're going to do the business up here around the nose, which is the motor mount area. Had I not sprayed this white, had I tried to go over primer or the green, first off, you wouldn't get a bright yellow. It would take many coats. But as it stands right now, it'll take the one coat and that's it. or maybe 2, I don't know. You don't want to get any runs in this, because remember what I told you about the nose being the focal point. So we have a yellow. We'll give this a second coat. It should be plenty dry. And that's it on the yellow. On the footage that I had lost, let's talk about what I covered. I kind of covered how the masks were basically done. So let's these go on after that stars and bars is on. So let's go ahead and I'll apply one more of these masks. And because I don't see well anymore, it's hard for me to see through the areas to make sure that these things are on square. I sometimes use masking tape as a guide to index them. But from side to side here, we're going to look and see how low it is. It's approximately down here. See if we can, I want to make it so you guys can see what's going on. That's good. So we're approximately right there. What I do is I index the edge of that line, except I can't see that either, so let's put the masking tape on it. Okay, indexing the let's show that. I'm indexing this stencil with this piece of masking tape. And how you do that is you want this piece of masking tape parallel with this line right here. And push her down. So that looks pretty good. Hopefully it's in the right spot. Of course, when I do these stencils, I always make extra because you just never know if it's going to be perfect or whatever. And I'm kind of a perfectionist. I like things to come out right. Now, if I can get these markings painted today, let's see here, it's on straight, fairly good. If I can get these markings painted today, we'll end up doing invasion stripes as well. So, it's on in about the right spot. This gets painted blue, then we'll remove all that. I will then in turn mask this off with 2 black stripes in it, which is not a big deal. Anyway, on to the other part. Let's see if we're dry here. Because if we're dry, we can go ahead and demask, and I'll tape out the red checkerboards. Yeah, it's pretty close. Well, I think we're going to have to cut the camera and wait for that to dry. So I'm going to take about a 15-minute break, and we'll come back. And if there's any questions, type them in the box below. Contact me on Stunt Hangar. Call me on the phone. Whatever you got to do to make sure that you're getting your model right. Well, I've been kind of just working on this a little bit to, speed things up without making the movie. And what I did was I painted the nose ring yellow. I don't remember whether I showed that. I think I did. But I went ahead and laid out the checks for the red layer, and I went ahead and sprayed them on. And this is our old crow. Let me zoom in here so you get a... This is the old crow, and this is our checkerboards that we're going to do, and that should be a nice effect. Obviously, it's a profile airplane, so it's not going to be 100% scale. And there again, I'm just trying to give the illusion of this. But I want to get this untaped, and I want to see if my guessing, because that's all it was a guess, because I had to transition the checkerboards from the inside, or from the outside to the inside. So it was just a guess, and we're going to see if it kind of resembles what I need it to, and I think it will. There we go. So we'll demask all this, and we'll hope for the best. I pretty much have confidence in that it will look pretty good. And this is always the fun part about building airplanes is these, unless you're doing something like when I go to detail on my Thunderbolt, where it will be a painstakingly, arduous journey. Uh-oh, what happened there? It will be a painstakingly journey to get the absolute details correct. Where this is more or less just get it close enough. So it's kind of fun to do. I mean, this is not a real airplane. There's not a layout for the markings. And on real aircraft in the military, everything is done by a map. And on that map are all the measurements off the leading edge of the rudder. How far back you want to make the first mark. Is it going to be parallel to the leading edge or parallel to the trailing edge? And there's a certain map for making these stars and bars. Obviously, in the military, they're not painted on with a stencil. We had to lay them out with masking tape. And there's a formula for that. And also, the reason why the fonts are the way they are, it's not because they look good. It's because airmen, like myself, when I was doing it, had to lay that out with masking tape. So we didn't have fine line tape, so there's not going to be any curves or anything along that line. It's we're all straight angles. Plus, you got to remember these guys that are working on the flight line. So it was kind of like, have something that the average guy could do. So it was pretty easy to figure out. And that's how real aircraft are laid out, at least in the military. I think now, probably, the aircraft are wrapped with vinyl. I don't know for sure. But it sure would make a lot of sense if they're doing cars like that, why not real airplanes? Because it certainly wouldn't be any heavier than paint. Okay, that's the first square done. Let's see what the subsequent when I made these stencils up on the computer, I made it in a, I can't remember what they call that, parallelogram or whatever, where the triangle, tapers into the top. So, and this was, there again, that was just a guess. Nothing is, I'm sure there's probably a mathematic way to figure it out, but, I'm not going to get that involved in figuring it out. My eye's close enough. I can see a 64th of an inch. Why would I spend 2 days laying it out on a computer or figuring out a math problem to figure the exact taper, so I just eyeball it. And I used to tape these off with tape without any mask. But it sure has sped things up, so I'm thankful for the vinyl cutter. Well, you get to see the unwrapping live on camera to see if we're going to like it. I sure hope so. And I did the thing I talked about in some of my prior painting videos, where I basically went around the corner and painted the jams, so to speak. Because if you don't, it will stand out like a sore thumb and you'll go, why didn't I paint the jams? So, one more and we can put the cover on it and see what it looks like. My channel's doing fairly well. The bounce rate is going down and the watch time is going up, so the content must be getting better. Okay, fingers crossed, let's see what it looks like. Not too bad, not too bad. So it was a little difficult to figure out. But I think that'll be just fine. I'm going to have to steam this though. For some reason this thing is, once again, really warped. I think I might make some type of bracing inside for it. They don't want to stay. So let's see what it looks like. Not too bad. So, let me zoom in here so you get a close-up shot of that. I think it will be just fine. And when I come back, I'm going to mix up some blue paint. We're going to paint the blue stars and bars, and I need to figure out how I want to do the AMA numbers. If I want to go ahead and make them stand out, or do I want to make them hidden? So that's another thing I kind of have to think about.